Hello everybody and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host Jesse Showalter and it's Thursday, y'all. Let's get cracking. Let's do some fun stuff. Really excited that the weekend's almost here, and we've been doing some fun stuff here on the XD Daily Creative Challenge. We have been doing a crash course in UI design. And next week we're going to be doing a crash course in UX design, and we got people in the live chat already chatting it up. So we got Julia in the chat, Aiken, Ryan, Rosie, Alberto, Richard Otley's back again, some familiar names. Let me know what you're going to be doing this weekend, and let me know, take a guess as to why I have a bruise underneath my left eye, around the left side of my eye. Guess why I have a bruise. Put that in the chat. Wait, did I get attacked by a gorilla? What happened? It could be a fun conversation. Let's do it. So, what are you doing this weekend? Why did I get the bruise? Well, like I said, we're doing a UI design crash course and a UX design crash course. And in the last few days, we've been going over things like color and typography and some of those foundational basics. And we've been using Adobe XD and some of its awesome features to facilitate those awesome design basics. So, again, we got Tim's in the chat, Noor's in the chat. We got people from all over the world joining us as well, so really excited about that. If you're new to the XD Challenge, Daily Creative Challenge, let's figure out, Richard said, somebody punch you? Yeah, maybe I got hit in the face by Comic Papyrus. That's a day one joke, if you're wondering. Since nobody's answering, I'll tell you. Oh, a bruise, accidental haircutting injury? I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I caught a flying knee to the face, and it just gave me a little bruise. So it was awesome, a lot of fun. Here we go, we're jumping in. What is the XD Daily Creative Challenge? Well, we're gonna do this as fast as we can today because we got a lot of ground to cover. Each day, after you sign up, you're going to receive a challenge. We're on the third challenge today. We're gonna be talking about smart guides. We're gonna be talking about consistency and alignment. You can get the starting file here and then follow along. You want to join the community, not only the live chat that's over there, over on the side where you might be watching this right now, but also the Discord channel. There are over 34,000 creatives in the Adobe XD Discord server. You get feedback, post your work, find friends, get community, all of that there. Then you're going to watch the daily show. That's what you're watching right now. And then finally, you're going to share your work at the end of the day. Post it up on Behance. Make sure you use that hashtag XD Daily Challenge so we can find your stuff on Behance. But speaking about some of the work that you might post, you can also post it inside the Discord channel. Let's look at some of yesterday's submissions to kick us off and get started for the day. Some people thought that I got in a car accident or that maybe it's a new tattoo. It's not. It was a flying knee. Yesterday, we had a big focus on color combinations, on contrast. We used some really cool plugins inside of XD. And this is a submission by Anastasia Teslenko. Again, here we go with these complementary colors, right? Beautiful. That yellow button pops right off. And I love how Anastasia matched the yellow of this button over with the yellow behind the model, bringing the whole composition together. Really nice. This whole landing page pops. The only recommendation, if I was going to give some constructive feedback, would be maybe moving this lockup of typography in the button, maybe playing with its position. Maybe it should be centered or 2/3 kind of anchored towards the top. You might want to play around with that. Here comes another one by Roshit Shrestha. I'm going to probably murder that name. I apologize. Look at this. Simple, check this out. Color, typography, proper use of color, and nice positioning and art direction of images. Bam, amazing landing page. It's all you need. You don't need a lot of fancy schmancy. You just need the basics. This is a beautiful color combo. Blue and orange, classic, pops off the page. Love it. And I also think we didn't even get to talk about it yesterday, but color theory, right? This orange color is playful. It's fun. It's energetic. That corgi is pretty energetic and fun as well. And the blue kind of imbues this idea of trust and authority. So this is some sort of like dog store or pet store or pet company. We want to show that we have trust. You can trust us to take care of your energetic pet. The colors are saying all they need to say. Absolutely amazing. Rosie says, cute doggy, nice position. I agree, it's really nice. Now, I wanted to get down to these two before we move on because this is a really good one. Who is this by? This is by Kartik. And this is a use of color. It's very dark. Very dark. Now, I think dark interfaces can be really intriguing, and I kind of actually like this. It's if you were in a dark scenario, you might not be able to see what the controller actually is, but I think this vibe works, and it just kind of makes you interested more, and the orange is standing out from the back, that dark background. The only thing I would say is maybe play with some buttons that stand out a little bit more. I'd want to see a little bit more primary call to action here on this explore button and have it blend in less with these areas over here. Only feedback there. Let's get to one more color combo that absolutely pops. This one is by Dorji. And before it's even loading, because my internet connection is a little slow here on my laptop, but I can already see these colors that are popping. And this submission plays a little bit more with some of that positioning. For some reason, we can't get the thing to upload. I apologize. But love the positioning here. I love also the integration of the model with the typography. That's really slick. Check it out. There it is. It finally loaded up. And he matches the button with the purse and the accessories on the model. It's bringing everything together, and it makes my heart warm and feel nice. So that's really great. So after you're done today, you can submit your designs. We can take a look at them, and I'll be in the Discord checking these designs afterwards as well. Here's some more great work right there. But for now, let's kick over. Hopefully you've downloaded your design file, and we're gonna get started with the challenge today. Today's challenge, we're gonna design a recipe list for a cooking app. We wanna focus on some of those alignment and consistency basics. We're gonna use smart guides and some other cool plugins and things to help us on our way. We have an artboard set up over here. And although the mission is to create a recipe app, and that sounds kind of cool, I did some recipe stuff in my last Daily Creative Challenge appearance, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so I figured maybe we would focus on something a little bit more fun, and that is donuts. Let's do something with some donuts today. So not recipes, just let's highlight some fun, sweet treats. Let's do that. I just zoomed in super crazy and weird. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be working with some donuts. Let's pop that donut over there, and we will get going with some designs. Now, let's talk some design basics here. I'm gonna put a couple shapes just on my screen, and we're gonna talk some alignment basics. Now, alignment does a few things. Alignment is one of those foundational basics inside any composition you're making. And luckily, Adobe XD has some fantastic tools that will help us and accommodate us as we're trying to create really smooth looking compositions. We've got 3 elements on the screen. They're all the same size. They're all the same shape. They're all the same size and color, the whole deal. But nothing is really aligned to each other. Everything's just kind of out of whack. Here's what this does. It shows disorder. Nothing's connected. There's no rhyme or reason here. Now, this can be okay if you're doing something that is supposed to be a little bit more abstract, maybe supposed to be a little bit more spaced out, but as it is, nothing has any form of connection. And so one of the first things we want to talk about is basic alignment. Let's use our alignment tools up here and just align things vertically. Now, we have some rhyme or reason. These are all running down the page in a relatively similar style. We can also put some distribution into it by using our distribution tools like this. And now we have similar distribution. This looks intentional. These items look like they belong together versus this, don't they? All right, so that's one of the first things that alignment does is it brings consistency and it brings a sense of unity between items. Very, very important. Now, alignment doesn't have to be just worked on shapes like this. Look at these Adobe XD smart kind of guides kicking in as we go. It doesn't have to be here. It could be on our typography as well. So we could put out some copy here, like here is a paragraph. Let's see if we can get some smaller text and put it in a color we can actually see, okay? And maybe not so small. Here's a paragraph, okay? Let's just do, woo, yikes. Go back. Let's try this whole thing again. Let's do a text box. Sometimes you just have, I have my text on 1000, my font size on 1000. That's why we're getting pretty ridiculous here. Hello, hello, hello. Let's just go down here. Boom. Okay, great. Let's use one of our plugins and just go to content generator and just give me a paragraph of text in here. Good. Let's bring our line height down because we just want to talk text here for a second. And let's bring our text down even a little bit more, okay? So pretty good. Go back to our layers, everything. We're just moving really, really fast. Let's say we have this paragraph here. Let's drag this down and let's make a headline out of this one. Let's revisit our typographic kind of like skills that we learned the other day. How do we make this a modular scale or a typographic scale? We're going to come into our inspector panel over here and times it by something like 2. We're going to change the weight to give it some contrast by 1 or 2 weights, and now we have some contrast in between. Now, let's group these things together because alignment can also, it doesn't necessarily have to be up and down or left and right. We want to work off of invisible axes. That's a tough word to say, axes, but a line, an invisible line, right? So this works just fine. And let's say we brought our shapes over and they align to the very edge of our typography. That works, but we can also move everything on the page to work like with a similar type of alignment. Let's group everything and rotate it this way. Okay, let's delete one of these so we can fit everything on the page at one time. And now we have like everything that's working on an invisible axis. Now you may not like this composition, you may not like this layout, but everything is lining up appropriately along this, let's zoom in here, along this invisible axis. So this stuff still makes sense. It's still okay, right? And so those are some of the basics of alignment. We brings things together, makes things consistent, brings things into unity, makes them seem like they belong together, and gives you some sort of rhyme or reason. Knowing this, what tools do we have at our disposal that will help us inside of Adobe XD? Well, one of those tools is Smart Guides. Okay, so let's drill down and do some smart guide stuff. You should be able to roll over to the left hand edge or the top hand edge of your artboard and get smart guides. If you don't see it, you want to go to view. You want to make sure that you go down to guides and show all guides, or the hotkey is command or control semicolon, right? So I'm going to hit that. And now when we roll to the top, we get this little icon, this little indicator that tells us that we're able to pull some smart guides over. So that's one of the first things we can do. We just grab one and pull it on the screen, and it gives us those nice smart measurements. So let's say we want to have 30 pixels on the left and we want to have 30 pixels on the right. Can I just brag for a second about Adobe XD, how they solved something? A lot of times when you would do smart guides in a lot of other design softwares and programs, you would drag these things over and it would just give you the measurement from the left to the right. So as I drag over, I'm not seeing 30, I'm seeing the reverse math of whatever the distance is. And finally, Adobe XD was like, can we just show what the distance is to the right? I feel like that would be helpful to a lot of people. You know why? Because I don't like math. I don't like math at all. Anybody else out there not like math like me? Okay, cool. Let's get some top action going on here. Let's bring this down to 30 and let's do another one. Just bring that down and drag it down to 30. Now this is nice and easy, okay? And that's one of the things that we can do. So now, if we're gonna start designing something, right, and making a little something, let's hit E for ellipse, and let's drag an ellipse out, and take the border off of it, open up our plugins, go to one of my favorite plugins, which is UI Faces, and add a little UI face, a little avatar inside of there. Now we're designing, now we're doing it, let's get cracking. Somebody put my YouTube channel link in there. You don't have to do that. You just stay here and watch these if you want to. But I do have more information on design basics. If you're interested, you can check my YouTube channel for that. So let's see, my internet connection's moving a little bit slow, but we're gonna let it go for now. It's gonna do its thing. And I have all of these donuts that we're gonna be bringing in here momentarily. So actually, if you are looking for some photography or find stuff, I just went on Adobe Stock and I found this nice shot of all these donuts. I downloaded them, opened it up in Photoshop, really quickly knocked out the white background that was on them, and then I just like separated them and used the slice tool so that I had a bunch of different donuts to work with. So now we have an avatar here. That took way too long, and that was solely because of my internet connection. Let's shrink it down. It's a little bit big. Let's add some text here. Like, I don't know, what should we put here? Like, hi, what's the name? What's a good name to use? I'm freezing up right now. Hi, Emily. Let's do Emily, okay? Let's mess with our size. We don't want that to be heavy. We want that to be book. What are we using? Futura? We used that yesterday. Let's use something a little bit more interesting. Let's use something like Sophia. No, not Sophia. Sophia Pro. Let's use Sophia Pro today. That'll be fun. And let's take the size of it, shrink it down. We're going to create our base size in typography. For our typography, let's go 15, okay? And let's just line that up right there. Hi, Emily. And we don't like it to be pure black. I'm always a fan of off black if you're gonna choose a main color, okay? Somebody said, did I hear donuts? Yeah, you heard donuts. That's what we're doing today. It's gonna be super duper fun. We don't have time to do a lot of icon stuff, so I'm just gonna open up Icon Jar really quickly, because when I'm in a pinch, I like somebody else to find icons for me. So if you don't know what Icon Jar is, it's a little third-party application that allows me to get some different icons if I could find it. We'll come back to it if it opens up. Ah, there it is. Okay, so let's just look for like a cart, a shopping cart. Let's take that shopping cart. We'll pop it right in there. Okay, so far so good. Zooming back in so we can see everything, and we're just going to shrink that shopping cart down, line it up, bring it all the way over to the side. That's all we need for now. We're not trying to get real into those right now, into the icon flow, but we could if we wanted to. All right. I do move pretty fast. Sorry. So if I move too fast, ask questions. I'll try to answer them in the chat, but I talk fast, I think fast, and I design pretty fast. Okay. So let's get some new sizing. We're at 15. Let's do a headline here. Let's go ×2. That's going to bump us up. Let's follow our rules and go from regular maybe to something like medium. And let's do like categories. Well, we're going to do categories of donuts. Should we do categories of donuts? And maybe, look, and again, that's that rule of typography, but let's cheat a little bit. We don't have to follow the rule exactly. We can calculate things the way we want. Let's drop it down to 24. Bump this up to more like a semi-bold. I like that. Now, notice as I'm placing things, again, I'm aligning everything to the left-hand edge here, and I'm staying true to that. I'm not messing with that. For the most part, we want to establish rules, and we want to stick with those rules. I'm going to take another one. Look, I'm going to align it right to the left-hand edge, and Adobe XD is really, really helpful about this. You just drag over, and it like magnetically just kind of sucks it into our smart guide. That's why smart guides are a really good thing. Now, if you want to get even more nitty-gritty with this, let's talk alignment even more so. I'm going to click my artboard. I'm going to come over to let's see, where is it? Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna click my artboard. There's my artboard. Okay, I'm gonna come over to the inspector panel and down the bottom right hand side. Let's just zoom in so you can see this. We have this grid section, and right now it's unchecked and it has layout. And so we can choose a layout, we can dictate the layout. And if you've done any sort of web design, mobile design, you'll know what we're looking at right here is basically a columned layout. So for a website, it's pretty common for people to use something like a 12-column layout, but on mobile stuff, that's a bit excessive. You don't necessarily need that. I like to work off something like a 6-column layout or a 4-column layout to simplify things. So let's work off of a 4, and you can change like the column widths and the gutters. You can do all this work, and we can line it up to our smart guides just like that. But now we want to change the column width. So we're just going to manipulate these numbers. I like to start with smart guides, and then I like to use something like the layout after and kind of flex it to my smart guides. That way, otherwise you could be sitting there fiddling with your guides and your gutters and your margins for your artboard forever, and you never find the right one. It's better to pick something and roll with it. I like 20 pixels border around the outside, maybe sometimes 30. This is a little bit big perhaps, but I dig it. I'm into it today. You can do this. You can also, if you don't like the layout, we can go to a grid. I actually prefer grids, just if I'm going to be really, really honest, but we're going to stick with the layout because it simplifies what we're trying to do here. Okay, so now we have layouts going, and now we're going to use those layouts to our advantage to create some like card styles. So let's do this. Let's take our rectangle, and again, we're still using our smart guides down there on the left-hand edge, and we are now using our new column layout, and we're going to bring consistency to our layout. So first, let's do this. Let's drag a nice big card down, and let's take the border off of it. And if your smart guides are getting in your way, you can press Command or Control column. Again, that'll hide your smart guides. And if your layouts are getting in the way, you can hide your layout grid by pressing whatever that is. I always forget hide the layout. That's a Command Shift and apostrophe like that. So let's turn them both off really quick so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to round the edges a little bit. Let's add a shadow so we can see what we're working on right now. And so far, so good. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to add another one of these and turn the shadow off. We're going to pull our color in from our donut, just like this. And we're going to hold down, I'm going to hold down Option on my keyboard and only adjust the corner in question. Not the entire thing like this, but instead just the bottom corners so that I can make this card style like that. Then we're going to bring our donut in here and let's have fun with it. It could be, should we pop out? Yeah, I think it's always fun to pop out a little bit. So let's just drag this up above a little bit like that. And we give it a little bit of three-dimensionality. Now, I feel like now we're having, that's fun. Let's do that. Okay. I don't like how rounded those border radiuses, I almost said Badiuses. That's not a real word though. So let's just drop those down a little bit and make them less intense. Let's take our shadow and let's pump that up, the blur of that up a little bit, and then let's bring the opacity. I'm going to click right here in my inspector panel on the color of the shadow. I'm just going to bring the opacity of it down a little tiny bit, and then let's bring some typography down in here. Let's make sure in our layers panel it's above. And now let's talk about nested alignment. This is really, really important, okay? So now we have a card. We don't want to shove, we don't want to be so like militant about our alignment that we're shoving our text here. We want to create a new type of alignment. This is where your layouts are good, but this is where grids, in my opinion, really shine when you're using grids. That way you can establish some sort of like grid-based spacing, padding, margins in each and every one of your elements, and things start making sense. But for us, we're just going to use some more of those smart guides. Let's grab this. Let's do 10 pixels. And now we have some rhyme or reason. Let's do this. We're going to go here. This is 175, so we're just going to back it down to 165. We know that's 10 pixels away from the other side as well. This will allow us to, let's do a second piece of typography. Okay, let's drop this one down, maybe to like a 10, and then let's change the color. Like what's a fun color? Something like blue. I think blue, back to our color lesson, right? Blue and pink. You can't go wrong. It's super nice. Let's do this. Let's go down even a little bit more, and we'll say favorite, like that. And let's name, what do we name this pink donut? Somebody give me a good name for a pink donut while we're building this card out, and then we can move on. So I'm just manipulating a few things. And you know, as I'm looking, I can turn my smart guides back on, or excuse me, my layout back on. And then what I could also do, if I prefer one over the other, which I actually kind of do, I like my smart guides, I'm just going to drag my smart guide out so I can see my cards now lining up and where the outside of the card should be and the gutter or the internal padding of the content of the card as well. So just working on that, and that's looking pretty good. We're going to do some repeat grid. Let's call it the pinky. Yeah, Richard Otley said the pinky. The pinky, like that. And then we can do something else, like maybe down below. Ooh, where's my icon jar actually? Give me not a cart, but a heart. So that way I don't have to make one really quickly. Yeah, just give me a basic heart. Sometimes icons can just be the worst. Let's just bring this little heart down here. Good. I don't like the shape of that. I'm just gonna stretch it that way, bring it over, make it small, grab my heart, put that in the corner. Could do a little more work on this. Let's just make it a little less intense. And then why don't we bring something down here that just says 245 people love this. Okay, and then let's make that the same shade of gray. That way it's just like a supporting thing. Why isn't it working? I don't know. Let's try that again. Grab that, get the gray. There it is. All right, so we have a donut. Fantastic. Let's grab all the elements, group them together, and our layers panel will name it donut, okay? Now, if we bring our smart guides back on, we're gonna just copy this and bring it over, okay? Now we could do that, or we could be really smart and press Command or Control R and repeat grid this thing. So we're gonna bring it over. Let's mess with our spacing. Boom, it's lining right up just like we want it to. Let's bring new versions of it down this way. Looking pretty good. We're gonna mess with our spacing there as well. Let's take all of our guides away and let's see what that looks like. So far, so good. Now we could do something at the bottom of this because we're running out of time here. We don't have too much more time, but we could do something fun like have a bottom navigation, obviously, that sits on top, that has a little shadow, a little reverse shadow like that. Lighten that thing up, and you could put a couple of icons inside. We don't have time right now because we are rushing. And then we could repeat grid that 1, 2, 3, 4, spread that out, and then take all of those and just align those. Which brings me to one last little point before we do a few customizations and then we're out of here. Is when you're thinking about alignment, again, not everything needs to align to the same, right? To the same parameters or the same smart guides or layout or grids or anything you're using. Sometimes there's global elements that are larger, like for instance, our navigation. This could, if you wanted, expand. Similar on a website at the top, navigation can like span all the way across the browser to a certain extent. You probably want to contain it, but then everything else can have an internal container. That's up to you. You're going to have to make those decisions in what's best for your design. So with that being said though, let's grab a bunch of our stuff here. Let's bring in a couple of donuts, switch things up. That looks pretty good. And then let's just pull a few colors to finish this design off and see how we do. Oh, I'm changing everything there though. We don't want to do that. Let's change this one to, no, oh no. I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's ungroup this from our repeat grid, and then we'll customize a few things just like this. Boom, yellow. Let's make this one that red color, looking pretty good. How we doing on time? Almost done for the day. I went over yesterday, and I promised that I would never do it again. So we want to finish on time today. Let's grab the green back there. And so we have a little donut app, something like that. And everything now has a certain level of alignment and rhyme or reason to it. It's following grids and layouts. Things feel connected. They feel like they belong together. And so using alignment and consistency is just a good experience. It's really gonna help us, and it's gonna lead into the lessons that we're gonna learn later about consistency and good user experience. So part of having a good user experience is implementing some of those good user interface design stuff. So I hope you got, ooh, somebody said, how did you ungroup the repeat grid? If you have a repeat grid, you simply right click on it. For instance, if I just drag this guy over here, do a new repeat grid with it and start making my repeat grid, I can just right click and I can ungroup the grid, or I can use the hotkey of Command or Control Shift G, and that will ungroup my grid. And now I'll have individual items. That's something I tend to do. I like to do that on and off. I love repeat grid. It allows you to like work smarter, not harder, without actually breaking the bank. So that's pretty much it for the day. I realized I just showed that whole repeat grid thing without my desktop being seen. But I hope you guys enjoy the basics. I hope you guys are using the basics, learning those fundamentals, and then using them to build like really, really beautiful designs and products. We'll see you right back here tomorrow, and I'll be in the Discord after this challenge is over to look at your guys' work. I'll see you guys there, and I'll talk to you guys next time.